Prehistoric education. In prehistoric times, education was not formalized but was integral to daily life. It was primarily a communal effort, with knowledge being transmitted orally through generations. This informal education was essential for survival, focusing on skills such as hunting, gathering, tool-making, and social customs. The primary educators were elders and experienced members of the community who shared their wisdom through storytelling, demonstration, and direct participation. This mode of education emphasized practical skills and moral lessons, ensuring the continuity of cultural traditions and survival techniques. The development of language was a significant advancement, enhancing the ability to communicate complex ideas and stories. Ancient Egyptian education. The ancient Egyptian education system is one of the earliest known formal education systems, primarily reserved for the elite. It centered around religious instruction, hieroglyphic literacy, mathematics, and various forms of practical training necessary for administration and priesthood. The temples served as educational centers where scribes were trained. Scribes played a crucial role in society, responsible for record-keeping, administration, and the preservation of knowledge. The invention of hieroglyphics around 3100 BCE facilitated a sophisticated method of recording and transmitting knowledge. Education was highly valued in Egyptian society, as it was seen as a means to achieve success and stability. Confucian education in ancient China. Confucius, 551 to 479 BCE, profoundly influenced the Chinese education system. He emphasized moral integrity, social harmony, and the importance of education in achieving personal and societal betterment. Confucianism advocated for a curriculum focused on literature, history, and ethics, shaping the values and intellectual development of students. The establishment of the imperial examination system during the Sui dynasty, 581 to 618 CE, was a monumental step in formalizing education in China. This system aimed to select government officials based on merit rather than birthright. The exams tested candidates on their knowledge of Confucian texts and their ability to apply Confucian principles to governance. This meritocratic approach significantly influenced educational systems worldwide. Greek and Roman education systems. Ancient Greece is often credited with the birth of Western education. Greek education emphasized the development of intellectual and physical excellence, with a focus on philosophy, rhetoric, and the sciences. Notable figures such as Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle were pivotal in shaping educational thought. Socratic questioning promoted critical thinking, while Platonic academies and Aristotelian lyceums provided structured environments for intellectual inquiry. The Roman education system built upon Greek foundations, adapting them to their needs. Roman education was practical, emphasizing rhetoric, grammar, and law to prepare citizens for public life and administration. The Romans established formal schools and encouraged the study of Latin and Greek literature, which became cornerstones of Western education for centuries. Medieval monastic and cathedral schools. During the Middle Ages, education in Europe was predominantly preserved and advanced by the Church. Monastic schools, established by monasteries, were centers of learning where monks copied manuscripts, preserving classical and religious texts. These schools focused on religious instruction, Latin literacy, and classical knowledge. Cathedral schools, associated with major cathedrals, also played a significant role in education. They provided training for clergy and educated boys in various subjects, including grammar, rhetoric, and logic. The Carolingian Renaissance, 8th to 9th centuries, under the reign of Charlemagne, revitalized educational practices. Charlemagne's reforms emphasized the importance of education for both religious and administrative purposes, leading to the establishment of palace schools and the promotion of learning among the nobility. The rise of universities. The 12th and 13th centuries marked the rise of universities in Europe, which were instrumental in advancing higher education. The University of Bologna, founded in 1088, is often considered the first university. It specialized in law and became a model for other institutions. The University of Paris, established around 1150, became a leading center for theological and philosophical studies. Universities formalized the structure of higher education, offering degrees in various disciplines. They were organized into faculties, with students pursuing a curriculum that included the trivium, grammar, rhetoric, logic, and quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, astronomy. The establishment of universities fostered intellectual communities, encouraged scholarly debates, and contributed to the spread of knowledge across Europe. Renaissance humanism. The Renaissance, 14th to 17th centuries, was a period of renewed interest in classical antiquity and human potential. Humanist educators such as Erasmus and Vittorino da Feltri emphasized a broad curriculum that included the humanities, arts, and sciences. They believed education should cultivate well-rounded individuals capable of critical thinking and moral judgment. Humanist education focused on the study of classical texts in their original languages, promoting the development of eloquence and virtue. This approach encouraged a more secular and individualistic perspective on education, which contrasted with the predominantly religious education of the Middle Ages. The printing press, invented by Johannes Gutenberg around 1440, played a crucial role in disseminating humanist ideas and making books more accessible. The Protestant Reformation. The Protestant Reformation, initiated by Martin Luther in the early 16th century, had profound implications for education. Luther advocated for universal literacy so that individuals could read and interpret the Bible themselves. This led to the establishment of public education systems in Protestant regions, aiming to educate both boys and girls. Luther's emphasis on vernacular languages over Latin made education more accessible to the general population. Protestant educators promoted the establishment of schools that provided instruction in reading, writing, arithmetic, and religious studies. The Reformation also encouraged the creation of universities and seminaries to train ministers and teachers, further advancing educational opportunities. Enlightenment and educational philosophy. The Enlightenment, 17th to 18th centuries, was characterized by a focus on reason, science, and individual rights. Philosophers such as John Locke and Jean-Jacques Rousseau significantly influenced educational thought during this period. Locke's tabula rasa theory suggested that the mind is a blank slate at birth and that knowledge comes from experience and sensory perception. Rousseau's Émile, 1762, presented a novel approach to education, advocating for natural education that prioritized the development of a child's innate abilities and interests. He believed education should be child-centered, promoting curiosity and active learning. The Enlightenment's emphasis on reason and empirical evidence led to educational reforms that valued critical thinking, scientific inquiry, and the pursuit of knowledge for the betterment of society. The Prussian education system. In the early 19th century, Prussia developed a comprehensive, state-controlled education system that became a model for many other countries. The Prussian system featured compulsory elementary education, trained teachers, and a standardized curriculum. This system aimed to create disciplined, literate citizens capable of contributing to the state's goals. Key figures such as Wilhelm von Humboldt played a crucial role in shaping Prussian education. Humboldt's reforms emphasized the importance of a well-rounded education that included the humanities, sciences, and physical education. The Prussian model influenced educational systems worldwide, particularly in its emphasis on universal access, standardized testing, and state oversight. Horace Mann and the Common School Movement. Horace Mann, 1796 to 1859, is often called the father of the American public school system. As the first secretary of the Massachusetts Board of Education, Mann advocated for universal, non-sectarian, free public schooling. He believed education was essential for a democratic society and should be accessible to all children, regardless of their socio-economic background. Mann's efforts led to significant educational reforms in Massachusetts, including the establishment of normal schools for teacher training, the standardization of curricula, and the improvement of school infrastructure. His ideas spread across the United States, laying the foundation for the modern public school system. Mann's vision emphasized the role of education in promoting social mobility, civic responsibility, and national unity. Maria Montessori and progressive education. Maria Montessori, 1870 to 1952, developed the Montessori method, which revolutionized early childhood education. Her approach emphasized child-centered learning, hands-on activities, and self-directed exploration. Montessori classrooms are designed to foster independence, creativity, and a love for learning, with materials that cater to the developmental stages of children. Progressive education, championed by John Dewey, 1859–1952, further emphasized experiential learning and the development of critical thinking skills. Dewey believed education should be interactive and democratic, preparing students for active participation in society. His ideas influenced educational practices worldwide, promoting the integration of practical experiences, problem-solving, and collaborative learning into the curriculum. The growth of higher education in the 19th and 20th centuries. The 19th and 20th centuries witnessed a massive expansion of higher education. In the United States, the Morrill Acts of 1862 and 1890 established land-grant universities, providing practical education in agriculture, engineering, and the mechanical arts. These institutions played a crucial role in advancing scientific research and industrial development. The GI Bill of 1944 further democratized higher education by providing veterans with funding for college. This legislation significantly increased college enrollment and expanded access to higher education for a broader segment of the population. The post-World War II era saw the proliferation of universities and colleges, promoting economic growth and social mobility. The Civil Rights Movement and Education. The Civil Rights Movement in the mid-20th century, particularly in the United States, fought against racial segregation and discrimination in education. The landmark case Brown v. Board of Education, 1954, declared state laws establishing separate public schools for black and white students to be unconstitutional. This decision marked a significant step towards desegregation and equal educational opportunities. The movement also addressed issues such as inequitable funding, discriminatory practices, and limited access to quality education for minority students. Subsequent legislation, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965, aimed to eliminate discrimination and promote educational equity. These efforts laid the groundwork for ongoing struggles to achieve inclusive and equitable education for all. The digital revolution and education technology. The late 20th and early 21st centuries have seen the advent of the digital revolution, profoundly impacting education. The integration of computers, the internet, and digital resources has transformed teaching and learning methods. Online education, virtual classrooms, and educational software have expanded access to education globally. Digital technologies have enabled personalized learning, interactive simulations, and access to vast amounts of information. They have also facilitated collaborative learning through online platforms and social media. However, the digital divide remains a significant challenge, with disparities in access to technology and digital literacy affecting educational equity. Globalization and international education standards. Globalization has led to increased collaboration and standardization in education. International assessments such as PISA, Program for International Student Assessment, evaluate educational systems worldwide, promoting best practices and benchmarking performance. These assessments provide valuable data for policymakers and educators to improve educational outcomes. Organizations like UNESCO advocate for education as a fundamental human right and work towards universal access to quality education. The Education for All initiative and the Sustainable Development Goals have set ambitious targets to ensure inclusive and equitable education for all. Globalization has also facilitated cross-cultural exchanges and the sharing of educational resources, enriching the learning experiences of students worldwide. Inclusive education and special needs. The late 20th century brought a focus on inclusive education, ensuring that all students, regardless of disabilities or special needs, receive appropriate educational opportunities. Legislation such as the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, in the United States mandates that students with disabilities receive free and appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment. Inclusive education promotes the integration of students with special needs into mainstream classrooms, providing necessary accommodations and support services. This approach aims to foster a sense of belonging and promote the social, emotional, and academic development of all students. The principles of universal design for learning, UDL, have further guided efforts to create flexible learning environments that accommodate diverse learners. STEM education and the push for innovation. In response to technological advancements and the demand for skilled professionals, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, education has gained prominence. Initiatives aim to improve STEM literacy, encourage critical thinking, and prepare students for careers in rapidly evolving fields. STEM education emphasizes problem solving, creativity, and collaboration, equipping students with the skills needed to address complex global challenges. Programs and policies promoting STEM education include specialized schools, extracurricular activities, and partnerships with industry and higher education institutions. Efforts to increase diversity in STEM fields have also gained momentum, seeking to close gender and racial gaps and ensure that all students have the opportunity to pursue STEM careers. Education for sustainable development. The 21st century has seen an increased emphasis on education for sustainable development, ESD. ESD aims to equip learners with the knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes needed to contribute to sustainable development. This approach integrates key issues such as climate change, biodiversity, and social equity into the curriculum, promoting critical thinking and active participation in creating a sustainable future. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 4 focuses on ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promoting lifelong learning opportunities for all. ESD encourages interdisciplinary learning, fostering a holistic understanding of the interconnectedness of social, economic, and environmental systems. It also promotes values such as respect for diversity, empathy, and global citizenship. The impact of COVID-19 on education. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a profound impact on education worldwide. School closures, remote learning, and the rapid adoption of digital tools have highlighted both the potential and the disparities in access to technology. The pandemic has prompted a re-evaluation of educational practices, emphasizing the need for resilience, flexibility, and inclusivity in educational systems. Educators and policymakers have had to adapt quickly to new modes of instruction, leveraging online platforms and digital resources to continue teaching. The pandemic has underscored the importance of social and emotional support for students and the need for professional development for teachers in digital pedagogy. It has also accelerated the integration of technology in education, highlighting the potential for innovation in teaching and learning. Conclusion. The history of education is a testament to humanity's enduring quest for knowledge and improvement. From informal learning in prehistoric times to the complex, globalized education systems of today, each milestone reflects a step towards more inclusive, equitable, and effective education for all. As we move forward, the lessons of the past will continue to inform and inspire efforts to enhance educational opportunities and outcomes worldwide.